Hi, everybody. I'm Candid Frank. He's Aaron William Freeland, and this is Maple Leaf Talk, where we talk about everything Maple Leaf, including the Maple Leafs. Their big news today. I mean, we thought they were done for this year. I mean, what victory could they possibly scrounge together? It appears they could scrounge a victory together, but it was more or less luck, nothing else. The only skill involved was a lack of skill during the season to finish in a position a shot where they had a shot at doing what they did, which is, Aaron, as you
got the first overall draft pick.
They did.
Now, in their 100-plus year history, this is actually only the third time the Maple Leafs have ever drafted first. The first was Wendell Clark, then Austin Matthews. And now, who knows? There is certainly, of course, Penn State's Gavin McKenna to take a look at. But then there's also Ivar Stenberg from Sweden. Those are a couple of the possibilities. However, based on John Chayka's record with drafts, it is entirely possible that we may see something completely off the board.
I'm thinking go for the best center. Good pedigree. Father was an NHLer, Jacob. Bringing him in, and the way you bring him in is you trade your first overall pick to the Vancouver fans, and I mean the Vancouver fans. Okay, guys, you get first overall pick, but I want one of those blue liners you got, one of those young guys you got. They've got two right-handed defensemen that are very young and quite good, actually. And I would say go for them, and then I would actually go for the center, because the Leafs have given away first-round draft picks for a second-line center, for a person they thought would be a second, or in Lawton's case, a third-line center. So
yeah, it's amazing sometimes,
right? Get the best center you can. In my opinion, that's where they should go. Now, admittedly, not as great a regular season guy, goals, assist guy, but he's a talented two-way player, and he doesn't have to forsake his offense to be that kind of player because he's already done it. So what you're seeing is the guy. I maintain that Matthews' offense has dropped almost on the same path. His ability to be a defensive center has risen almost equally. So I would rather get my feelings about a right-handed defenseman. My feelings about a stud defenseman, a guy that can be Toronto's number one. Okay, maybe not the best in the league, but a legitimate number one center. And if they could get the big tough guy, that would be, if there was anything missing from this team over the past 10 years, it's been toughness and a right-hand shot defenseman that can be a stud.
And it's interesting, talk about a team that isn't tough enough, and we want truculence or puculence or whatever you want to call it. And it gets tiring after a while. They really do need to finally do something here, and I don't know if McKenna is going to be the magic bullet that solves all of our problems all in one go. I am unwilling to pin as many hopes as I have pinned on young guys before. Everybody hailed a certain player as the second coming after he got 4 goals in his debut, which also happened to be an overtime loss. This isn't going to fix the Leafs' problems. Let's be very, very clear on that.
Too many problems. They have too many problems, and that's why I'm trying to attack the. My solution has to do with bringing in as much good young talent you can, and I'm also, as I've said, and I'll keep saying it, doesn't matter who's running the team, doesn't matter who's the GM. I still think they should trade Matthews and see what they can get. They could. Because I just totally believe that for the benefit of both Matthews and the Toronto Maple Leafs, he's got too long. He's too long in the tooth with what the problems they have. And right now, he's a guy now that people are saying, well, he should have a say in what this team looks like. He's had all the say in the world in what this team looks like. They've had all the say, all of it. They've watched their organization throw away first-round draft picks. And the reason they've had to do it is because, quite frankly, we've said it before, and I'm going to say it again, because Matthews wasn't willing to play the way it takes to win a cup. They had to try and bring guys in that it's like, I don't know how to explain it other than to suggest, you want to buy a Lincoln, buy a Lincoln. You want to buy a Volkswagen and put a Lincoln grill on the front. It ain't going to work. You got to start with the car. The car has to be the car that has to happen is we need here in Toronto, fans and people like myself who follow the team need players who understand what it takes to win. Matthews has never understood what it takes to win. That doesn't make him a horrible human being. It doesn't make him a terrible hockey player, but he's the standard. He's wearing the C. So, that's what this is all about. This is all about a team that plays the way it needs to win the cup. And no matter how you dress up a pig, you put lipstick on it, it's still a pig. At the end of the day, you got to switch out the pig for a wolf. That's all there is to it. There ain't no other complication.
No, and like I said, I hope this is the start of something for them. I really want to be wrong about John Chayka. I really want to be wrong about Keith Pelly. Matt Sundin is Matt Sundin. He's going to do Matt Sundin things, and fans are going to continue to love him. But man, you have such high hopes, and as you can tell, I'm just still not 100% settled with it, and okay with the situation, because
you shouldn't be.
There's so much to screw up here,
And Aaron, look, in fairness to Chayka, in fairness to Mats, in fairness to MLSE, the unfortunate truth of the matter is we cannot believe, and we should not believe, that the people running MLSE are boneheads. Now, I've said that. Now I'm going to say something else. The same people that hired Dubas, the same people that hired Trey Living, the same people that they're all the same people. Just because you've got a new guy, Pelly, I am a firm believer that Leaf management doesn't know how to step back and get away. All they hire are messengers. And what was Pelly in his press conference? A messenger. That's all he was saying. This is what we're going to do. He already told, he's telling us that this is what the general manager is supposed to do. That's not the way it works. You hire a general manager and you wait for him to tell you the way it's supposed to be. You should only hire somebody that you think understands the game and is a good assessor of talent and a creator of an organization that can assess talent the best, and also make those players that you assess as the best, make them the best players they can be. Cart before horse doesn't work. And in this case, when you hire the horse, let the horse be the horse. You sit in there and watch him do his job. And that's the lesson the Leafs have never learned going back to Harold Ballard.
Well, they better learn damn quick. That's all I got to say.
This is one more time where we sit here and go, okay, maybe they finally learned the lesson. But I've got a really bad feeling about this because Pelly talked like he knew exactly what was necessary to be done. If he knew exactly what needed to be done, he should have just said, I'm the new GM. Instead of trying to talk like a GM, he should have talk like an owner representative, talk like a guy who's hiring the guy that understands how to do the game. See, I'm getting more pissed at Pelly, not because I should be pissed at Chayka and his terrible behavior, which we're hearing about, which one person's interpretation of his behavior is terrible. I shouldn't say it is because I wasn't there. I don't know how it worked. But the fact is, we in Toronto here who watch this go on all the time, the mistakes are not being made by the manager, by the coach, or by the players. It's constantly always been and will forever be at the desk of ownership. And that goes beyond Pelly. So at some point, somebody in charge has to say, who's the best person that can do this job? I don't want to even think about what it takes to win. Who's the guy that we believe can make this team win? Let him have the reins and let him go. But that never happens with Toronto. There's always that little dash of, and we want a guy who brings in now the big thing is, this guy's got to be data oriented. Like you got the answers already. You don't have to prove to me that you understand the way hockey works. Prove to me you know how to hire the people that can win the games that matter, the playoffs.
And, again, looking at Pelly, he was openly combative. When Rosie DiMano asked her question and when Steve Simmons asked his, you could see him rolling his eyes. I don't think that Keith is used to pushback. I think Keith is used to a bunch of yes men surrounding him at all times. And, oh, your ideas are fantastic. They're so great, Keith. We love you. You're fantastic. Have another bonus sort of thing, But at the same time, he's part of a company now that is cutting 10,000 workers out of their 25,000 workforce, except for MLSE employees, which is, I think, really interesting.
Well, that'll happen slowly.
Well, yeah, eventually. Some will get fired sooner than others.
What do you think the odds of AI taking over ticket selling?
If that happens, I'm out. Like I can barely afford tickets as it is, man.
I'm just saying,
AI controlling like ticket prices and surge pricing and everything like that. That is going to be a fustercluck of epic proportions.
Well, it's funny because around this time we have the guy that ran the show, Tannenbaum, is complaining about streaming and the involvement of streaming to watch hockey. He feels that at least publicly he announced, and he did a little thing, it's just not right. Fans are being asked to pay and pay and pay and pay. And what are they getting for the extra payments that they're making to subscribe to various streaming companies so that they can, watch the Leafs play? No, it's for me, it's never been. I learned the lesson with Harold Ballard. I learned a very quick lesson with Harold Ballard and Power. When the boss tells you he knows what he's doing, when he wants to be the general manager, or when he makes the decisions that belong to the general manager, this is before there were presidents, okay? Presidents all of a sudden became important. I think they invented a position that would be more friendly towards the ownership group and be the one to tell the GM stuff that the ownership group didn't want to tell. That's who Keith Pelly is. Keith Pelly is the deliverer of the message that the board wants the general manager to know. And at the end of the day, if I've always maintained another reason why I think they hire the type of people they hire, because the people who actually know and understand and have the self-respect of being a general manager or a president, having those abilities, they're not going to work for the Maple Leafs. You're going to end up with a young guy like Dubas, right? It's just the way it is with the Maple Leafs. But like you, I hope they at least understand the game enough and understand the team enough to know that this team needs to create some depth. Superstar isn't necessary. That's my belief. Superstars are not a necessity. They're a convenience. That's all they are. You got to have a team, and you got to have superstars that don't know they're superstars and don't act like they're superstars and don't ask for money like superstars, because we're seeing a guy like, look at Brandon Hagel. You know what I would give for a guy like that for the Maple Leafs?
Yeah, a lot. That's I think the thing that they don't recognize is that there are certain players that you definitely want, and you have to take advantage of that when the opportunity is there and they present itself. I think they could have drafted Hagel, couldn't they have?
A lot of teams could have drafted Hagel. I think he went near the bottom of the first round. If he even went, he went. Well, and to your point, you can also add the fact that it doesn't matter whether you drafted him or not. You could have traded for him, which they did, right?
Like,
or he came over as a free agent. No, I think they traded for him. Did they trade for him, or I don't remember. They might. He might have.
We'll figure it out.
He might have gone to them as a free agent. He might have gone to them as a free agent. But that's the point. The point is identifying talent and making the moves to get the kind of talent it takes to win. This is the problem now. We've got the problem now with the new guy, the new number one. He's a one-trick pony. He's an offense guy. He's not a guy you'll trust defensively. He's not a guy you'll put on penalty killing. He's Mitch Marner light, which is why they're tempted to have him. And I think they're going to talk to Matthews, and now they're going to decide if they draft him or not, dependent on what Matthews says, right? And we know Matthews hasn't done much to win a championship. He hasn't said much. He hasn't done much. He's not the guy I'm going to go to figure out what it takes to win a cup. He's just not. Nice guy, great player, great shooter, all that lovely stuff. But now we're talking about winning a cup. He's not the guy I talk to about winning a cup.
Yeah, and sure, he's won a gold medal, but and that's not to denigrate the accomplishment of winning a gold medal. That's a huge thing. But at the same time, that doesn't teach you how to win a championship with a subpar team.
Well,
because you're on a team
when you're not a major factor in that gold medal. He was not a major factor. Yeah. His claim to fame was he was responsible defensive forward. Okay. Okay. Big goals, superstars are the guys the real stars are the guys that score the big goals, and the guys that play so well that they drive the other team crazy trying to defend against them. Is Matthews at least that kind of guy? I think the jury's out. I don't know if he's that hard to check, to be honest with you. I don't know if he's that hard to check. So, that if he's not that hard to check and he doesn't score goals, who is he?
Yeah, I feel like the Bob's in Office Space looking at Matthews going, so what would you say you do here?
I would want to get a really good center for him that maybe doesn't score 1 million points, a young guy with the right kind of coaching, the right kind of assistance. Like I said, they get Malhotra, he's a center of the future. They can bring a guy in to replace Matthews as a number one center, or they get a free agent that can be a number one center. They get draft picks for Matthews. They get a defenseman, a prospect defenseman, a prospect forward. And I would go with that more than anything. I just think that there has to be this new, part of what's good about Montreal right now, Aaron, they're on that upswing. They're a team and players that have not had success yet. They think it's possible. They don't have bad history behind them. They're too inexperienced to know how hard it is to play in the playoffs, which they use and are using to their advantage. I'm sorry, but that's the way I see it. Anaheim's another team like that.
Well, proof is going to be in the pudding. We'll have to see how much responsibility they give Chayka when it comes to the draft and when it comes to the free agency. I just think it's a really interesting time for them to have brought a new guy on, especially seeing as it looks like he might be suffering from the same sort of I just got here syndrome that Brad Living tried to bank.
Well, that's the thing, Aaron, and that's the problem, with the Maple Leafs, and it has been for a very long time. That continuity is just it escapes them. They can't get continuity going because the message, I think, isn't coming from the people in charge. It's coming from the people who run the team. It's upper management's coming up with ideas, because I can't believe that a reasonably intelligent general manager or president has a plan. And I don't believe reasonable ones, intelligent ones, will divert from the plan. The plan will be allowed to be played through. The impatience comes from the people who aren't making the decisions, people outside the people making the decision, the people looking over their shoulder, questioning, well, it doesn't look like things are going to work out. You got to do something else. Are you sure you can do this? Come on, that doesn't look like a good. Why don't you do this? Leave him alone. Let him do his job. This is what I'm accusing MLSC of. That's what
just
I'm
let him cook, man.
Just let him cook. So let's let that idea cook, and we'll I guess leave it there. Tell me about Ivar Stenberg.
So Ivar Stenberg is the one player that the Maple Leafs could probably draft first instead of Gavin McKenna. Now, I don't think anybody really expected us to be having this sort of discussion because I don't think we thought Ivar Stenberg would be available to us, especially if we were in fifth. But Stenberg, he's a young Swedish winger. He's a left shot who can actually play on either side.
And
Scott Wheeler had a whole bunch of draft prospects, and of those draft prospects, there were only two players in his tier one, and that was McKenna and Stenberg. In the SHL this season, Stenberg had 33 points in 43 games, which was about as high an output as a player of his age has ever done there. He also helped them to a Champions Hockey League title and a really strong playoffs last year, becoming just the third player to ever score in the SHL postseason in their draft -1 season after Rasmus Dahlin and Victor Hedman, and registered 6 points in 12 games. You know, his season's not done yet either. He's auditioning for Sweden's men's world roster and had a great first two performances, 2 goals and 3 assists. This is a guy that could potentially, supplant McKenna. Now, McKenna's a guy that just wrecked shop in junior this year. So, there's also that to consider as well. But Stenberg does project as a first line winger. So there's that to consider too.
Look, the Leafs, I'm not going to say they can't screw it up first overall. They can't screw it up because they could get the best player available, and it won't be what he does when he shows up. It's what they do with him after he shows up, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how good a player is when they come to an organization. It's what that organization does with that player and how they massage his ability, massage his mentality. That's what this is all about. So as much as it's important who they draft, it's even more important what they do with that player that they choose after they draft them. And that's why I would really like to see if they could get somebody. Oh, it would be nice if they could find a team that would want Matthews, and if they could convince a team like 4th or 5th in the draft to take him and give the Leafs a player as well. Oh my word! I just think because this draft is so strong, it would just make sense to me to have, if they could get 2 or 3 picks in the top 20 of this draft. I think the Leafs would be. Some people even mentioned St. Louis because they have 3 picks. Like trade Matthews for all 3 of those picks. You give us all 3 of those picks, you can have Matthews.
I mean,
St. Louis.
Definitely something to consider.
Well, it would be new blood, Aaron, and the new blood wouldn't only benefit the team, it would benefit the fans, it would benefit the player himself, Matthews. Go get a fresh start. You've had, we need a change here. And maybe my old age, it makes me not as patient as many others. Like I don't want to wait for another 5-10 year, I want to report on the Leafs being a competitive team beyond the first or second round. That's what I want to be around for. That's all.
No, and I get it.
So it doesn't matter. In my opinion, it doesn't matter. I watched that Rock Marlies game.
Yeah, the Rocket Marlies game. Yeah. That was a rough game. Just not good. Badly outshot in the first period. Just dumb penalties away from the play. It just not convincing. So
that means they're 2-2 now, right?
Yep, they're tied, and we're going back to Laval for the
game-deciding game. Right?
Okay, I don't have to worry about it. My heart won't be able to take it, but at least I won't have to watch it if I don't want to.
I couldn't believe how bad they looked.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure why. I mean, they looked terrible in the first game at Laval, and then they came back and won the next 2 games 6-2 and 6-2, and then they dropped another stinker, and it's like.
Well, I was watching it on my phone, Aaron, so I was looking very closely to find the Marley symbol in the middle of the Maple Leaf one.
It's the crown.
I was looking at to do a double take. Oh, no, this is the Marlies, right? Wait a minute. Yeah, it is. Unbelievable. Just, terrible, terrible. Well, good luck to the Marlies. They looked like they had a shot, but Laval was too strong for them. We'll see what happens. Let's talk about the PWHL, more hockey.
So here's everything that you're going to need to know as the Charge are coming home for a PWHL semifinal game. The Ottawa Charge logo was officially at center ice at the Canadian Tire Center. It also features PWHL playoff logos inside both ends. So yeah, they're actually going to be playing at Canadian Tire Center. Game 3 will take place on Friday, May 8th. Then Game 4 will also take place at the same venue on Sunday, May 10th. Game 5, if necessary, is going to be back at Saga Center in Lowell, Massachusetts. Probably for big things here, mainly because they're moving away from TD Place Arena at Lansdowne for the playoffs because they've kind of been gifted the Canadian Tire Center, and that's a 17,000 seat arena. There is rumor as well of Detroit getting in a PWHL team as well.
Whoa.
So that's also good news. Rumor is they were supposed to start 2026, 2027. So in the next, 3 or 4 months, they're going to be starting up full tilt. So that's going to be interesting as well.
I saw that overtime goal by Poulin. Oh my goodness. That is a goal scorer's goal. Only the best in the National Hockey League can do that. Poulin made it look easy.
And at 4:02 of the third overtime period, man, it's about as good of a time as any to break the seal. Lara Stacy entered the zone, passed it back to Abby Roque, who made a cross-ice pass to Poulin, and that was it. Maddie Rooney had absolutely no chance of getting over there to stop it. This actually evens up their best-of-5 series at ones as the series shifts to Minnesota for the next 2 games. The Frost won Game 1 on Saturday, also in overtime, but this time 5-4. So, they're glad that they got the split. But, yeah, there's still a bit of a road ahead to try to get this sort of thing done.
Watch the Jays game. It was a travesty, which is play on travesty. They were winning till the very end of the game. They allowed 2 runs. The submarine pitcher, Aaron, they figure out new ways every time they show up at the Tropicana field.
Yeah, and it didn't help that they also dropped this afternoon's game 4-3 as well. Not once, but twice. Springer's been hit on his left foot when facing the Minnesota Twins. And then he was also, he took a foul tip. He's back in the leadoff spot yesterday as DH. He hit the first pitch he saw, foul. Apparently it was he got down to 0-2 pretty quickly. He hit the first pitch he saw, foul, and then there was a called strike, and then he eventually ended up with a ground out. Now, nothing I don't think is going to change his approach to the plate. He's always been an aggressive swinger. He ground out again in his second at bat. So it's been a little bit of a difficult road for him. But, at the end of the day, he is where he is because of what he does. So we'll have to see if the Jays can actually manage to turn it around, get back onto their winning ways.
Let's talk about tennis and Bianca Andreescu. Great name from the past, a great Canadian player at the Italian Open. What's going on with her there?
Yeah, so she defeated Sofia Kenin 6-4, 7-5 at the Italian Open. She converted 5 of 6 breakpoint chances and had 5 aces in the match. That took an hour and 46 minutes to finish. Kenin also had 6 chances to break her opponent's serve, but she converted just 3 as she fell to 2-5 all-time against Andreescu. Now, it is important to know that Sofia Kenin had won their previous meeting last month in the second round of the Charleston Open. But Andreescu, who's just 25, will next face 12th-seeded Belinda Bencic of Switzerland at the WTA 1000 clay court event. Those 2 players have split their previous 2 meetings. Now, Bianca entered Rome ranked 137th on the WTA Tour after battling through injuries over the past few years. She's improved her record to 21-8 this season, with most of her wins coming on the WTA 125 on World Tennis Tour circuit. But that doesn't take away from the fact that she's moved on into the next round here.
Let's talk about the CFL. Is Stan Peterstein an American quarterback?
Yeah, they signed Jacoby Criswell. Criswell spent his final collegiate season at East State, Tennessee, back in 2025, where he played 8 games. With the East Tennessee State Buccaneers, he completed 85 of 138 pass attempts with 9 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. He also added 56 carries for 277 yards. He played at North Carolina from 2020 to 2022 and in 2024 with a 2023 stint in Arkansas. Across his time with the Tar Heels and Razorbacks, he played 30 games and completed 221 of 378 pass attempts with 19 touchdowns and 7 INTs.
Absolutely wonderful. Davaris Daniels, former Argo, Calgary Stampeder. I'm trying to think of who else he played for. I think that was it.
Edmonton back in 2019.
Retires.
So, yeah, I think he felt that he'd reached the pinnacle. He was part of 3 Grey Cup winning teams with the Stamps in 2018, the Argos in 2022, and again in 2024. He was also the most outstanding rookie in 2016 with Calgary. He did give special thanks to the city of Toronto. He said, "Thank you for embracing me and making me feel at home. To my teammates, my family, and every single fan who rode with me through this journey, I felt every bit of your support, and I'm deeply grateful." So we wish him all the best in his future endeavors. Where he goes from here is anybody's guess. But ideally, I'd like to see him coaching.
Absolutely. Let's talk about hockey. And if I play my cards right, if we play our cards right, we might get a chance to watch this game. It should be going on soon. The Sabres and the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah, now that's going to be starting tonight. Now, it'll be interesting because Lindy Ruff does not have the same kind of defensive forwards that John Cooper had on his roster, and that should be good news for the Habs' top line. That's not to say that the Sabres don't have good defense. They've got Darlene, Samuelson, Byram, and Power. They're a solid group, but on the flip side, you're going to be countering with Caulfield, Suzuki, and Slavkovsky. So that's going to make things interesting. Realistically speaking here, I mean, Buffalo was the top seed, but I think Montreal is definitely going to make it interesting. And I'm kind of torn now because I'm not 100% sure who I should be rooting for here.
When you don't like either team, when you
rough, man.
Team, that's something that. Oh, geez.
Now, Ridley Greig was suspended 2 games for sucker punching Sean Walker. This was what happened in the second period of Game 4. Walker was tied up with Warren Fogle, and while he was doing that, Greig came in as the extra man and threw 2 sucker punches at Walker. This is Greig's second suspension in his 247-game career. This is basically 2 regular season games, because obviously can't suspend them during the playoffs because they got swept. That's the equivalent of 1 game in the playoffs. So I don't know if it's enough. Personally speaking, if you throw 2 sucker punches, you should probably get more games than 2 regular season games. That's just my thinking, though.
I see it from the perspective of the inconsistency of player safety. That's all. I just see it from that regard, and I'll leave it at that. Let's talk about the Jets. They slid to 8th overall in the upcoming 2026 draft.
I'd actually like to combine a few of these stories if I could, specifically the ones for the Jets, the Flames, and the Canucks. Vancouver was the worst team during the regular season. It's fairly obvious. They tried to ethically tank by trading away who they described as problem players, and at the same time tried to put in a good effort. But unfortunately, they ended up slipping to 3rd in the draft order after the Maple Leafs won the lottery, and then San Jose, who really don't need the help. I mean, they've got Misa, they've got Celebrini, they've got a couple other guys in there that they don't necessarily need the second overall pick. But, they ended up slipping to third. The Flames ended up going sixth overall, and the Jets slid all the way back to eighth overall, which is not the position that they wanted to be in. This draft is a little bit deeper than it has been in years past, admittedly, but at the same time, it's a tough position to be in. Because there's some consensus top 2, top 3 picks, but then after that, it gets to be a little bit of a crapshoot. So bad news for Vancouver, who really should have gotten first. Okay news for the Flames, who ended up in sixth, and just a disaster for the Jets, who slide to eighth overall. So that's not good for anybody as far as they're concerned.
Yeah. Vancouver has had a lot of bad luck, and of all the teams to get the first overall pick, the Toronto Maple Leafs, they hate Toronto. They hate Toronto with a passion.
They really do.
But here's the thing, I want people also to understand. This lottery is only for the first round. Every ensuing round, it goes to how you finished. So in other words, Vancouver is going to be the first team to draft in the second round, the first team to draft in the third round. So their second round pick is as good as almost any of the first round picks. So, I think Vancouver fans and people should remind them of that it's just the first round. The rest, you get a crack at players. You get first crack at, a second round player that plays better than a first round player, a third round player that plays better than a first round player. Remember that. Like at the end of the day, we've talked about this earlier about the Maple Leafs. Aaron, it's about how you draft and how you teach. And this is the first step. You're looking for your Play-Doh. You're looking for what you're going to form into something. So you need the raw elements of a great hockey player. And I think a lot of the players that play in junior are all capable of being great hockey players if given the opportunity, the attention, and the leadership and education that a great player needs to become a great player. And or players that in junior look really good, but when they take the step in the National Hockey League, for some reason, their mentality and ability meshes with the National Hockey League the way it didn't with the OHL. And that's what you're hoping for. That's what Leaf fans are hoping for. You find those guys that nobody realized are going to be that good in the National Hockey League. And that's why the draft is so important. That's why I'm so frustrated with Toronto and every time they've given up draft picks to try to add a characteristic in a team by adding players, not picking players who have those characteristics to begin with.
Well, the good news is, Frank, we've come to the point of the show where I think we can kind of close it off because I just heard the anthems finish.
The beating of the drum is happening right now. They're beating the drum. Enjoy the game, Aaron. Everybody, enjoy the game. See you on Friday.
We'll see you Friday, Frank.
Ciao.